You're listening to the Spy-Fi After Dark podcast. And we are back here, Spy-Fi After Dark. We have a good episode today, a timely episode.
So timely.
First guest of the season, the one, the only, Frank Hogan Jr.
How's everybody doing?
And if you can't tell by his voice,
I'm black.
unless you're watching the video, which you already know.
We'll return after the break.
So obviously there's some newsworthy items going on at the moment.
Yeah,
Especially for us being in Arizona.
definitely.
Yeah. But real quick, before we start, just a couple housekeeping items. You can find us obviously on all the platforms. Subscribe if you're listening. Really helps us out, especially on YouTube. Need 100 subscribers to get youtube.com/spyfi. iowamachus.com. I'll be talking about that in a break later. And you can find me on Twitter at MillenTweets or on Instagram at MillenGrams. Do you have a handle you want to share?
Find me in Dopest Black Nerd.
But it's not fully spelled out, right?
No, it's Dopest BLK then Nerd.
Is it
On,
in ERD
Instagram.
or in RD?
No, ERD. The only thing that's not spelled out is black.
Okay.
Do you have
For
a
some
problem
reason,
with
I was
that?
thinking it was in RD. And you have a podcast too, right?
I do.
What is it called?
Next Level Town. You can find us on Instagram at Next Level Town, Facebook, Twitter. We're all over.
Spotify too.
Yeah, Spotify and
Yeah.
Apple Podcasts.
Cool.
You use Anchor?
Spreaker.
Okay.
Spreaker.
Is it similar?
What was that
Yeah.
face?
No, it's similar. It sounds like it's very similar.
He
to
goes,
Anchor.
I guess.
Yeah.
He's like, I'll cut that out.
He goes, oh.
And we have
This podcast is sponsored by Anchor.fm.
I'm gonna get on your level, Millen, one day.
That's all right. It's all the same.
Definitely.
All right. So we have perhaps the biggest mass uprising in modern American history at the moment.
Okay.
Modern being like within the last 40 years.
Okay. That's what I was like. But yeah, definitely.
What are your thoughts? Just off the bat, just
Off the bat,
shoot from the hip.
I'll tell you that
No filter.
people tired.
Okay.
People are tired. You know. As a black man, I can't say I've been through everything that every black person's been through, but I do notice and there's some common there's common discrimination among all of us, you know, and the fact that all this is happening and people are acting in such a way, like what they're doing, the whole looting and stuff like that, that's not necessarily a good thing, but it's all reaction to something else, you know? I'm not going to get into specifics, but Deion Johnson got killed. He got murdered in Arizona from being asleep in his car. And I guess it turned into an altercation, so on and so forth. But Deion Johnson is close to a family member of mine. He is, I'm not going to tell you specifically what it is. I don't know if they want to be on air or whatever, but
Yeah.
But yes, I have a cousin, my first cousin knows him very dearly, and I actually heard it from her first, before this all went off, and I was like, what? I forgot that something like this can happen so close to home, so close to family.
Mhm.
You would think your family is okay, you know?
Yeah. You always think you're the exception
Yeah.
until you're not.
Until you're not, you know. This has been a hard couple months for me, and for a lot of people, but we're getting through it. We're figuring it out. I don't know.
I heard a stat that at any given time, roughly 10% of the United States black population is in jail or prison specifically.
That sounds about right. I mean, yeah, most people in prisons are black, or at the very least people of color,
Mm-hmm.
right?
I think I heard a separate stat that something like a third of black men have been in prison at least once.
At least once, yes.
Yeah, that's a crazy statistic.
Yeah.
It's pretty nuts.
So find two other black people,
And
including me. One of us is going to
statistically,
jail.
I got an ex-con on my hands.
That's crazy.
That's cold.
That's fucked up. I mean, it's the truth.
I mean, you know, I'm a badass, but I can't tell everybody what I do.
You have a past life.
Yeah, I know. I just leave it alone, you know.
So are you hopeful about this?
Am I hopeful that things will get better?
Yeah. Because the way I see it, there's either a hopeful reaction or there's a cynical reaction.
Mm-hmm.
Which side are you on?
I believe that feeling some way about something is not enough to get your oppressor or whatever, like white people, get them to understand and to change what's going on. Because, you know, racism isn't as overt other than this, like what's going on now. It's more like under the radar.
Mm-hmm.
But the system is built in such a way for people that look like me, or even people in color in general, to not be treated as like in a certain way. Lawfully, everything's the same as far as the law is considered. I mean, more or less, but
Theoretically.
yeah, theoretically, right? Like in a vacuum, yes, but probably not. But as far as how people are actually treated, how people actually feel, you know, socially and stuff like that, it's not the same. It's not the same. And for you to say that they're the same is you need a huge like paradigm shift. You need to take the blinders off. But I mean, understandably so, for white people, it doesn't really affect them. It has nothing to do with them. See, like now the looters and the rioting happened. Now they have something to say.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Now it has something to do with their stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So it's worth talking about.
And something unique to this round of unrest is previously when this has happened, all the destruction happened within their own communities.
Mm-hmm.
This time they're actually going out of their community.
Yeah.
And the destruction is in generally wealthier neighborhoods, which is a first.
Yes.
For instance, Fifth Avenue in New York is like totally ransacked. It's destroyed.
Damn.
And
See.
Sixth Avenue.
Yeah. I mean, I guess it's kind of like them saying, you don't care about black people's lives. I mean, you care more about your stuff than our life.
Yeah.
So we gonna wreck your stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying it's okay. I'm just saying I understand.
So to circle back, does that mean you're on the cynical side? You don't think things are going to fundamentally change because of this? Because it sounds like you think the obstacles are too steep for a fundamental change over one mass event like this.
Oh, of course. Yeah. I don't think so. I think how do I say this? I think not necessarily how they feel about us, but they have to, white people have to, the law has to like take baby steps to make sure things like this don't happen and to where they're held accountable. Because, I mean, obviously with George Floyd, like that's murder.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's not defending yourself. That's not murder.
Mm-hmm.
If I put my leg on your neck, that is not like self-defense. That's literally me trying to like usurp a certain kind of dominance over you.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm choking you, choking means like, that's like malice. That's like, you know what I'm saying? I didn't hit you. I didn't shoot you. I choked you. That means I took the time to stay there and hurt you. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So.
And I think what is unique is this time around, it seems that the overwhelming majority of the population agrees that that's murder.
Yes.
So we have at least that. The question is, how does that apply to policy, or does anything actually change as a result of it? That's what I'm getting at. And it sounds to me like you don't think.
I don't think black people
change.
feeling a certain kind of way is enough. I think white people getting into it can make a change. You know, like if I don't know, this is gonna sound like kind of weird, but if I had a dog and I treated my dog like shit, and my dog went into like oh, like, I don't know, a little kid, like a kid or something like that. That's better instead of a dog. Like if I had a child and I treated my child like shit and he told me I treated him like shit, whatever, I'm an adult. I have the power here. It doesn't really matter. But if somebody across the street sees how I treat my child and they're holding me accountable, they're like, yeah, you treat that child like shit, you need to do better, or this will happen, then I'm in a position to change.
Okay. I mean, that seems reasonable to me.
I don't know any statistics around like job or on the job related murders committed by police and like how that on average resolves regardless of the victim's race.
Mm-hmm.
But we really need to understand.
Speak into the mic.
We really need to. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
We really need to understand like how to make more granular the subjectivity of how a police officer may or may not be culpable. That's not even like race related.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that it's being pronounced in this climate. And I understand why, because you have racists in that position, but it's actually the position's problem, in my opinion, because like kind of similar to what Frank brought up.
I think it's a problem for cops, not necessarily for racist cops.
It's a position. It's an
Of racist
enabler.
people.
It's an enabler. Yeah, like racism is not going to go away because, you know, blacks and other
Everybody has
races
biases.
decided to like break shit. If anything,
Yeah.
it's going to be suppressed hatred towards them.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe less outward behavior, but if anything, by the way, a lot of people have cops in their family and are friends of cops.
Mm-hmm.
I bet you the majority of those families do not advocate what's happened in the past week or so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If anything, it's grown opposition against that. So I would just like to see police be more scrutinized. Like that's why we gave them cameras in the first place. And it rarely goes against the officer.
Well, not every place has that.
I know, but like it rarely goes against the officer. Like officers, I don't know. I don't have the stats in front of me. That's why I'd like to look at it. But like it seems like they can get away with a lot because there's subjectivity around their job. Like you can't quantify. For a police officer, you can't quantify his or her fear of risk. That's
Yes.
why escalation doesn't have metrics. That's why it doesn't. And that's why cops can be proactive. And that's why you can't prove if they're recklessly proactive because they can't quantify risk. That's the problem with that position.
Well,
that position's enabling people who are racist.
Yeah. Yes.
That's the problem. I have a problem with cops. Like they bend the law
Yeah.
because their job
Because
is
they
risky.
are the law. Yeah.
Yeah. And well, if you say, hey, a cop should be more culpable, another cop will say, well, the job's tough. That's always going to be the cop out.
The cop out, yeah.
That the job's
There's
tough.
also-
Alex don't.
No, I'm serious. This is the problem.
No,
and a lot of race-related problems are usually tied to police behavior because that it's very pronounced in those incidences.
Mhm.
Hate crimes, they get dealt with normally. Police crimes don't get handled.
No, because hate crimes are obviously racist. Like everybody can agree if somebody burns down a church,
And
it's a
there's-
bad
and
thing.
there's
But in some cases, it can be hard to prove it is a hate crime.
True.
I mean, you have Ahmaud Arbery, right? That was a hate crime, but it wasn't clear initially.
Mhm.
It's only like supplementary evidence has come out afterwards that has made it like graduated it to a hate crime. So now I believe now they're prosecuting it as a hate crime, or at least there's a call to do so. I don't know if it's been accepted or not
Okay.
at the federal level, but that wasn't the case. Even once they were arrested originally,
Mhm.
it took time and like additional evidence to do that.
Okay.
Even though like circumstantially, most logical people would say that pretty much looks like a hate crime,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
But isn't that like a function of like the law and stuff like that? Like it's clearly a hate crime, but they'll make it as something else. That doesn't mean people don't think it's not a hate crime.
True.
They just can't do anything about it being a hate crime.
True.
Because they don't have the power to do
True.
so. You know, you can know cops are racist, but because of who the cop is, they can,
Yeah.
you know.
Well, I mean, there's clearly systematic issues with the policing. And I mean, even with body cameras, the big problem is the penalties for turning off your body camera,
do they exist?
they're inconsistent.
Mhm.
Just like penalties
Usually-
in general around cops.
Yes.
Yes.
I think oftentimes if all you do is turn off your body camera and there's no other evidence of whatever happened, you might be fired. And that was probably about it.
I
And then you
understand.
just go get hired by another department.
And I understand that like there needs to be some kind of lenience for cops because cops are depending on your
Actually-
function and like your territory.
Actually, I don't think so. But that's
in extreme cases, yes, but I'm saying in a
Well,
general sense,
I
like,
think in a vacuum, I understand what he's saying,
I'm
but
trying to
because
think
of
of
how
both
people,
sides.
are, it's
here's
awkward.
my problem.
there's a lenience in the sense that you're allowed to defend yourself and you're allowed to defend someone else.
Yes.
That's
but
not leniency. That's just
That's
their
not
job.
lenience.
If your
I mean,
body cam is ever off, I do think it should be like potentially a slap on the wrist because it can be done accidentally or stress people. But if it's associated with
if there's
subjective murder, then you should just be
Yeah.
thrown in prison for manslaughter. It's very, very like
if turning off
minimum.
your body camera coincides with no incident, then yeah, obviously it's not a problem. But if an incident happens and your body camera was off, then you should be held responsible for
police
it.
protect each other.
Definitely.
Fundamentally, I come at it from the perspective that we should expect police to be like the best of us.
I
told you this that they actually should be set up for higher penalty. For instance, like
It
it's
should be
not
higher
less.
penalty, higher pay, better job security. Like,
But higher pay could
well,
even
actually not the latter because you already
Yeah.
have perfect job security. So take that back. But higher pay and higher responsibility.
I'm gonna say better. I'm gonna say more or better training as well.
Well,
It doesn't take
that comes with the
yeah,
territory.
funding in
It
general.
doesn't. Yeah, it doesn't. How long does it take to become a police officer? Isn't it like
A few months, I think.
It's
Like 9
under a
months or
year.
something?
It's under a year.
The,
Yeah, it's
the
like-
the training is a few months, and then you're like a rookie where you have to operate with the senior officer for a while.
yeah?
But it depends on the department.
But I also understand that
But in
like
this case, actually, just as a side note, in the specific George Floyd case,
Mhm.
Chauvin was the senior officer, and the other three were all junior officers, I believe. Or at least one of them, if not all of them.
Are
So
you
it was a situation where they were being trained by Chauvin.
saying that should matter?
No, I'm not saying. I'm just saying it's funny that it just
Yeah,
happens
like
to coincide.
interesting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now this might be creeping into like something completely different, but out of curiosity, I'm curious. So we have like statistics that we can look up regarding like deaths by police, whether it's just brutality or, you know what I mean? Like on the job decisions or whatever.
Mhm.
I haven't looked up police deaths and who's associated with the death or who commits the murder, by race. I'm curious if that ends up being slanted in one direction. That may be feeding police racism. I'm not saying I'm justifying police behavior at all, but I'm curious if what I'm trying to say, I'll break it down. What I'm trying to say is I worry that police officers getting killed on average are because of certain people or certain regions.
Mhm.
Because if that's the case, this is like a low IQ
Well, see,
like
that's definitely
response to it.
Definitely, because see, people will say, "Oh, but this statistic says something happens," and then somebody else will come out with another statistic that'll refute that. But you forget all the statistics that make up that statistic. So you just told me, "Oh, this is a police officer getting killed," theoretically in a low income area or something like that, or an area full of black people, right? Why is that happening? They won't ask why it's happening. They'll just say, "Oh, black people are just that way." They won't ask. They won't.
It's a good it's a good discussion too.
So what I was saying, I agree with Millen. Just to backtrack a minute, that police officers in general have to be held to a higher standard.
Of course,
Mhm.
100%.
And that's the issue. That's one of the issues. Because like you said, people say, "Oh, it's a cop. He's defending himself." And he also gets leeway because he took a job that inherently, like his life is on the line every day, so on and so forth, right? But see, I didn't take that job and I also didn't do that training. So I think you're expected to be better than me.
Yeah, the training should prepare you for these kinds of situations,
Mhm.
to prepare you to make the right choice,
Mm-hmm.
not prepare you to
Yes.
make the most lethal choice, but prepare you to make the correct choice.
Yes.
Yeah, we know that there are plenty of methods that police generally have in instances where they can incapacitate someone without leaning on
So it's like
full on murder.
you get pulled over and you say something that's, very nice to the officer or something, right? In the officer's eyes, you should be treating me like I'm God, or like I have, like, with the utmost respect because of my position, not necessarily because of how I treat you, but because I come out here and and everything. And on top of that, I have a gun, a badge, taser, da 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 da. I'm in the position to do whatever I want to you, right? So you should be scared or you should respect me. It's not a function of whether they earn the respect, because I believe that theoretically they should have the respect just because they're cops, but people are different, Like if I see a cop, let's wipe away how people like me are treated or look like me are treated. You took a job that's literally supposed to like protect all of us. I should feel safe with you. I should feel secure.
Yeah, that's something I was waiting for. So
hold on. We're gonna take a quick break and we'll come right back. Hey there, podcast listeners. This podcast is proudly sponsored by me. That's right, me. I'm here to tell you about a project I've been working on called the Iowa Caucus. It's a democracy technology project with an accompanying live stream that will be happening sometime in June. Basically, a friend and I are building a real caucus software. This project is based on the now famous debacle that's known as the 2020 Iowa Democratic Caucus, when the Iowa Democratic Party utilized a new technology for the first time in running its caucus. Except the technology kind of failed really bad. The thing is, the software that you'd use to run a caucus is not actually that complicated. And so my friend and I wanted to basically just build it. And we're going to run a live stream mock caucus or Maucus to prove that it works. Head on over to iowamaucus.com because I know you want to learn more about it. Sign up for email updates. We'll keep you updated along the way. I promise we'll use your email very responsibly, more responsibly than pretty much everyone else in politics. And we are going to need a few volunteers to actually make the Maucus happen. It's a really, really small commitment of time, but we do need people to fill the spots for the live stream. So once again, head on over to iowamaucus.com, sign up for updates, sign up to be a part of the caucus if you want to be a part of it. Like I said, it's a small commitment. We're talking 5 to 10 minutes of your day. Anyways, that is it for me. Let's get back to the episode. All right, we're back.
That's a crack at it. I guess let's blow off some steam.
Wow, okay. No one's going to understand that joke in context because they missed whatever. It was a joke. Just don't worry about it.
Ayo to the yayo.
Alex was doing his Alex things.
Okay.
Welcome back, y'all.
What's up?
So Frank, you mentioned essentially that just a little bit ago that part of being a police officer is to demonstrate exemplary behavior,
yes,
and to be an equipped, arguably militarized person that can protect himself, herself, and other people around. Mm-hmm. So like me as just an ordinary civilian, I shouldn't be fearful. I should actually feel safe around an officer.
Yeah.
I'm saying like in a vacuum.
I mean, as an extension of this, personally, and I know this is not likely to happen in the immediate future, but personally, I don't think patrol officers should carry guns. I think guns should be something you check out for a specific purpose, which is how policing is usually handled in European countries.
Ooh.
But what about like
what about certain like demographics and stuff?
Or no, not in just regions like Arizona.
Yeah.
Everyone's equipped. Everyone's carrying.
Oh my goodness. I can't talk to somebody who says I want to buy a gun.
I wouldn't even want to be a cop here. I feel like the applicant pool would.
That's a good point.
You know what I'm saying?
In certain regions, it may not be practical.
But I understand. I get what you're saying. Like, I understand. It'd be cool if they were equipped with like non-lethal.
I mean, they are, but I mean, I'm saying like that's all they. If that was all they had,
yeah.
Like I remember seeing a video of UK cops confronting a guy who had a knife and probably had some sort of aggravation of some. He was clearly angry, and it's not clear if it was like a mental illness or something. But this guy had a knife and he was like coming at them, and there were several officers, and they were basically like boxing him in and using like group tactics and just clubs, like non-lethal weapons, to like box him into a situation where they could disarm him and pacify them.
Yeah.
And it was like coordinated, skillful. Like these people are clearly well trained, and they're not going to kill him. Versus in the United States, if someone came at a cop with a gun, they'd just be shot. Period.
And also,
that should be a triple tap to the chest.
You know, that's
No
another problem
questions
I have too, that like police officers rely on guns, and you could always say like by default, the reliance on guns in escalated situations for police officers is usually based out of fear. And I can understand that. And I'm not going to agree that that's what's
can say
actually
that's a
happening.
punk shit, bro.
And what I mean is like,
It's what I'm saying. It doesn't have to be lethal. It doesn't have to be a lethal use of a gun, even if a gun is incredibly lethal.
but there's no safe use of a gun.
I know what I'm saying. It's sad that like I don't hear about police officers like incapacitating people in, you know, maybe a more brutal but less
how?
shooting a limb.
But that can still cause lifetime damage.
But I
still
never hear about it though. That's the thing. Why is it always like a lethal shot to a fucking
Because
chest?
they're trained that their gun is it's supposed to be their last line of defense.
But it's
and
not.
if you use it, you aim to kill.
It's all their discretion. So to me, it's like there's no rules. So why not just?
But
I agree with you saying.
I think
Actually, what you're saying is wrong. Actually, what you're saying is wrong. It's to their discretion what form to use at any time. That's actually the problem. That like, so
but they do follow protocol, and their protocol states that your gun is to be your last resort, and if you use it to kill.
Okay, so I understand what you're saying there. You're saying that if the gun's out, the gun should be used to kill for self-defense.
Mm-hmm.
I do know that they have essentially like levels of defense or proactive measures against escalation, and escalation should be cognitively assessed by the police officer. But that's why an officer doesn't have like incremental behavior against me, meaning let's just say like you are yelling at me, I might tase you, it doesn't work, okay, now I might use my beat stick, okay, it's not working, now I use my gun. Like that is also on paper, and that's never practiced. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but that doesn't track. You're
it's
saying
also
yelling.
somewhat impractical.
It is impractical. But what I'm saying is, if that's impractical, why is the use of a gun being exclusively for killing the only practical measure? Like if I was an officer, I wouldn't mind if I actually felt like I was in danger. Like I don't want to kill someone, even if I feel like my life's on the line.
Well, to be honest, most of the time, unless you're around a whole bunch of people with guns or with somebody, like
our cops are rarely alone in these situations.
Not even alone, but they have more firepower more often than not.
And that's what I was going to say is I think the metric should be if you use more force than someone's using on you, then you're in the wrong.
Yes.
Yeah,
I agree.
So if someone is not shooting at you, you don't shoot at them.
Mm-hmm.
If they have a knife and they're coming at you, you can disarm them without a gun. You don't need that. And it should be your responsibility to be that kind of, responsible.
Yes.
You know,
exactly.
And not.
Knife's a little different. Knife's a little different. Like because hypothetically, if someone breaks into my house with a knife, I don't mind killing them with a gun because they're intending to kill me.
Yeah, but you don't.
It's the intent.
But you don't necessarily have. Again, you don't have 6 months of training.
Yeah, you're not a cop.
Hand to hand.
I know, but
if your answer would probably be different if you were like a jujitsu master.
That's not fair to officers, though. That's
what I'm talking about.
In a perfect world, you're absolutely correct. But I also want to give them credit, and some. This is actually what I meant by lenience. Like, I'm not going to tell them I've trained, or I'm not I'm not going to say, hey, I've taken you through the academy, I've given you training, you are more crafted for self-defense and martial arts than the average civilian. Now go out there and avoid, murder at all costs. Like, it's not fair, in my opinion, because their job is high tension, and it's tough for them to always think like that and be as like. Listen, we're splitting hairs.
I'd say right now it's impractical because the standards aren't high enough.
We're splitting hairs over something that's not even occurring. We're splitting hairs about like better case scenario. Yes. What I am going to say to you is, if someone's coming at me with hands, yes, I will take them down. If someone's coming at me with a knife, I think it's okay. If like, depending on the situation, I don't think I can take them down and they're going for my throat. Like, yeah, I want to live too.
Yes.
But if someone's coming at me hands, they're not going to take me out. Like, I'm more trained and I got weapons. I don't have to shoot them in the chest. That's fucking crazy.
Mm-hmm. But is it I don't know. Is it, I mean, to throw something in there, if they're coming at you with a knife, like you said, can shoot me in the leg, can that be a bad
That's
thing?
what I'm saying. I would do that.
I would do that.
I'm
too.
saying in the world we live in now, I understand why a gun could be used, even though retrospectively,
FYI, a shot in the leg can still be lethal.
100% femoral artery.
Oh, yeah.
100%. But there's like a chance.
Yes.
You know,
And actually,
also, in my opinion, it'll actually, in my opinion, it'll.
I'd rather the officer shoot at the ground in front of them.
Yeah, we can get into
A, to scare them.
Yeah.
B, you may get a ricochet situation, which is a lot less velocity, so it's a lot less lethal.
or rubber shots, or they can be carrying.
So one of the other disadvantages to cops having weapons is that as long as the cop has a weapon, that's potentially someone else's weapon. If the cops look in the wrong direction for a second, they can lose it. In a crowd, they can lose it in a high tense situation.
It's another reason why police are always on edge, and that's why their job is tough.
Well, that's also why they go to their gun so much, is they have their hand on their weapon so they don't lose it.
100%.
And so then when they're in a tough situation and they need a split second decision, they're already there.
And they will kill for attempts to steal a gun. Like, if any civilian tries it, that civilian will get killed if they're putting their hand even near the gun.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, police don't want to try out theory. They're not going to theory craft on the job.
Yeah.
But proactively killing someone and or assaulting someone, and that person has really no way to threaten you. That's what we're talking about. These are the situations that we're talking about right now.
Mm-hmm.
We're not talking about what if this and what if that. Also, by the way, if I'm a police officer and I use my gun, but I don't shoot someone in the chest point blank and they die from hemorrhaging or something from the femoral artery, that's really tragic. But at least the least society will know, or the public will know, that police officer is not probably not skillful enough to have shot the femoral artery to feign manslaughter with the intent to kill versus self-defense. Shooting someone in the fucking chest when you don't need to is ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, you cannot argue anything else.
Yeah. Also, it's not clear to what level cops are equipped with first aid knowledge of gunshot wounds.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Why
they should be. Absolutely.
Why would this not be? I know what you guys are saying, but I just find it hard to believe that you literally have a job where you're supposed to be better than everybody around you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I agree 100%.
You're supposed to be better. I'm not supposed to worry about you feeling some kind of way, so you're gonna kill me.
Yeah, and
I didn't have that training. I'm not a cop.
Right.
You I don't I'm not. We're not expecting me to act the same way you do. Because you are a cop, you're supposed to do the things that I wouldn't, more or less.
Of course.
That's why I'm saying it. Your level of force as a cop should be equivalent or lesser than whoever you're in conflict with. And anything other than that should be, an immediate charge.
Conflict should just be identifiable.
Yes.
Oftentimes there's no conflict. That's
also a people thing too.
That a lot of our problem, a lot of the public optic on police behavior would not be there if this wasn't the case. But a lot of people have died to police when no conflict has been present.
Well, yeah,
we're talking now about nuance and stuff.
What we're saying is the cops should never be proactively enforcing something. It should always be a reactive.
Yes, it's just difficult. I agree with you 100%. It's just also difficult for police. I'm trying to think of both sides. And by the way, the situation is
it's difficult, which is why they should be only allowing higher quality applicants.
Yes.
Right.
And there should be more stringent weeding out policy.
That's right.
Exactly. Oh.
If I was an officer, I would definitely want to be looked at by the public as a good impact. And I would want people to feel safe around me. But I also wouldn't want to feel like there's risk to going to jail if I'm put in a situation where I cannot. So let me give you an example.
Well, that's why body cameras are so important, because
Yes.
they can also effectively exonerate cops in a situation of being like, this is what happened. You can literally see my perspective.
To protect them too. Like you know how like have you ever like turned around and something's like coming your way and like reactively you do something that's like not even effective? I don't know if that makes any sense. Like you've done stupid stuff in your life when like there's no like actual like time to think.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like police officers are often in these situations where they don't even have time to think. Again, what we were talking about earlier has nothing to do with this. Like people getting killed by like police malice is different than this.
Yes.
I'm talking about if like someone is like coming after a cop with like a knife and they're thinking like they can't sit there and break out the situation and say, okay, the knife is 3 inches. If it hits me here, I'm probably not going to die. This person is 180 pounds. I'm 210 pounds.
I thought they had the ability to pause time for a second.
Yeah.
The math comes up on the screen. It's like
Action Man. Like for real.
No, honestly,
they all take the limitless pill. And
in theory, because in theory, nobody should get killed by police because police are in a position to incapacitate 99.9% of people.
Yes.
At least in close range. In close range, yes.
Mm-hmm.
True.
In theory,
100%.
no one should be killed by police unless they're trying to kill the police.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or kill someone else in immediate proximity.
And usually from a distance where a gun's the only option or something.
Yeah.
Like there.
And even then,
like
you can leave some room.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I said, I mean, I try and kill you and you're a cop.
Well, no, and I should qualify. I think particularly when person's trying to kill someone else, that's when it's like, okay, kind of all bets are off. But if they're trying to kill the cop themselves, then yes, that's a
hostage
story.
Situations and shootouts.
Yeah.
These are like, there's no question. Like give the cops freedom.
Exactly.
But like, yeah.
If someone's shot a weapon at them or at someone else, it's pretty much an immediate like all bets are off.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And it's kind of hard to expect anything else.
I think people, and I'm not even talking about cops here. I think a lot of people use a perceived threat, not even a viable one, like a perceived threat as a reason to be able to kill someone.
Oh, I agree 100%.
I just think I don't know, maybe people just like using guns.
Mm-hmm.
People just like
like
the power of like being able to hurt somebody. I don't know.
That's
but
the
like it's like
Marbury case.
It's like I go into your house. I go into your house. I steal something out of your house. I take your VCR. I'm going back to 92 with this. I take your VCR or something like
and
that.
I escalated to shooting you.
Yes,
for no reason.
But let's say I have the VCR and you see me running away with it. Are you gonna go grab your gun and shoot me in the back over a VCR? Are you? I'm asking.
Well,
you.
and that's the other thing is,
no, of course not.
If someone shot in the back, that's kind of an immediate, that wasn't okay.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Like that's one of those, if you were shot in the back, then you're clearly not a threat. So, you know, unless you were trying to kill someone else, face a different direction.
Mm-hmm.
That's like the only instance where that would.
I don't know. I just don't put things I have over people's lives.
No, 100%.
Actually,
I think we're talking about different things.
Actually, I mean, it'd be different. Obviously, if somebody grabbed $1 million or something, I don't want to say that I would do it, but I could say like,
I wouldn't kill, but I actually would. I am depending on the level of paranoia you have, if someone does break in and enter your residence, even if they have the intent to steal and not to harm you or.
I mean, at a certain point, you may not know that they're trying to steal from you. So
that's the problem. Is it's fuzzy.
No, so it's the problem I have is you can't rely on the general logic that is, you know, someone coming into your residence, you catch them in the act. You are now prepped for the next visit, and so they therefore won't risk revisiting you.
What do you mean?
Well, I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm not going to rely on rational thinking that is as follows. Like somebody came to my residence to steal something.
Okay.
Right? This is best case scenario, right?
Okay.
I'm aware of it and they're aware of my awareness, whether it happened then or like they were out, right? I can't rely on the fact that they have more apprehension to return to my house. That's not enough for me to feel safe. So I would like to damage them on their way out.
Are you damaging them?
Oh, okay. It's like don't you ever think of that again?
Because if someone breaks into your house, it kind of reminds you of how much bullshit we rely on for sense of security. Like these doors and windows, this fucking bullshit, dude. If I actually want to get into someone's house like at 3 a.m., I'm going to fucking do it.
Yeah.
It's not that hard.
Yeah,
I'm a big dude. I can do a lot very quickly.
Just trust is what we're
Yeah. So it's like, that is fuzzy. I'm saying it's fuzzy.
You're talking about hurting them to make sure they don't do it again.
Yeah, it's fuzzy. It's fuzzy. It's fuzzy. I'm saying it's fuzzy.
It's fuzzy.
Well, and then the question even begs, like, if just say you intentionally miss, you just shoot near them, does that count as hurting them?
No.
Because maybe because they don't know that you intentionally missed. No, they might think 100%. They just got lucky and they almost got killed.
You could brand your weapon enough, and that could be enough. I mean, brandishing
scaring the shit out of them counts as damage.
I mean, if you,
that's what I'm getting at.
If I shoot at a dude that stole something out of my house and I miss them, they're only going to feel, they might feel some kind of way about me. Oh, you took out your gun to try and shoot me? Okay, fine. You didn't get hurt and you still wronged me. So at this point, there's still more negative points for you. So like, I didn't hurt you, but you still stole from me. So count yourself lucky and like leave. You know,
if I'm like on my way to my car in the middle of the night,
or if I stop you and you go to jail, then you go to jail.
If I'm like on my way to my car from like something at night and I get approached by someone who wants to rob me and I like brandish my gun, that should be enough for me mentally to feel like, okay, I avoided the situation. That person didn't, I'm not a victim, whatever. That person may or may not try out someone else. But like when it comes to like someone breaking into my house in the middle of the night to steal stuff or to harm me or whatever, and maybe I don't have that discernment, right? Mm-hmm. Like I kind of feel like I have to put an end to it there because that takes a lot for someone to do.
Because like, that's your place of peace. That's your home.
Even if they leave, if they come back, they might be the kind of person that's pissed and come back and kill you in the middle of your sleep. Like it's gonna affect your sleep.
Yeah,
because someone.
That's true.
I mean, what takes more balls than breaking into someone's house? That's it. That's as much as it.
So you're saying he might
pretty high.
He might just be. So he might just be like petty enough, like, oh, you tried to hurt me. I'm coming back to hurt you.
Yeah, so I would like to hurt the person and make sure the person.
That's crazy, but it's true.
I would want the person to be apprehended, but I don't need to kill the person either. I just need that person to not have the means to come back.
Yeah,
that's it.
So I mean, but. If somebody steals your,
I need to move.
I need to stop saying VCR. It's 2020. But if someone,
8-track.
4K
someone
Ultra.
Steals your PlayStation 4.
Okay, someone steals your PlayStation 4. If I steal your PlayStation 4 and I'm running out with it, and you shoot me in the back and I'm paralyzed from the waist down for the rest of my life, I'm gonna be mad as fuck. Over PS4.
I wouldn't do it.
I know you wouldn't. I'm just saying, like, over a PS4, like the escalation's not different. Like, if you beat my ass, okay, that's what I get. Like, shot me in the leg, fuck, okay, cool. Like, but if me doing this small act that doesn't hurt you, I mean, put you back $500, right? And but now
it's less than that even.
Yeah, but now my life has changed forevermore. Now there's like no chance of rehabilitation, maybe emotionally or physically.
That's why you steal from Walmart.
Church. Man, people die stealing from Walmart though.
Yeah.
Like he's like, I told you it was great value. Step on you. Like, that's terrible.
Let me check your receipt. 3 exit wounds in your chest.
Wow.
Oof.
Exit.
Chest.
Wow.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
That's always low prices.
That's what I call customer service gun smoking.
Just crosshairs over a discounted price.
The price is cut in half.
Wow.
Snipe your savings today.
Well, we got a little bit off topic there. But
Yeah, like a lot.
We
off
did.
topic.
We did.
Sorry, y'all.
We
okay,
apologize.
so
y'all.
we'll take our last break and we'll bring it all the way back. You know,
Bring it back. Yeah, you
go
know.
back to the beginning.
We got like 3 tangents, you know.
Yeah, my bad.
Hey there, podcast listeners. This is Millen Singh, host of Spy-Fi After Dark. I'm here to just please ask you to rate and or subscribe on whatever platform you might be listening on. It really makes a really big difference to us, and it makes us feel really good about ourselves, so you really should just do it for that reason alone, honestly. But seriously, it boosts our organic search rankings and makes it easier for people to find the podcast, and so it would really help us out a lot if you could shoot us a rating, subscription, whatever's applicable on whatever platform you might be listening on. Anyways, that's it for me. Let's get back to the episode.
Spy-Fi. After dark. Place to be. With you too. Plus me equals 3. Yeah. Millen Singh. Ooh.
Oh my god, it's so fucking boom.
Oh my goodness.
All right, I think I'm going to leave that in.
Please don't. He says that all the time.
Well, and I do leave it in.
He leaves it
I'm
in.
gonna leave it in.
All that dumb shit he leaves in. But it's just gold. Imagine if we tried.
All right,
Okay.
so what were you saying about your friend?
Well, so I have a friend, nice guy, really cool. Used to work with him way back in the day, and he seemed to be very like easily like irritated with people, and he always like he had something of like an ego and everything, and every time he perceived disrespect in the smallest way, he would like puff his chest, be ready to fight somebody, or like be ready to just like go off at the seams, you know, just act a fool. And this guy wanted to be a cop. And I used to tell him, I was like, dude, you can't act this way and want to be a cop. Like, that's just not conclusive to the lives of the people around you as well as yourself. You can't feel like you can't be ready to fight somebody or hurt somebody because your feelings were hurt. Not if you want to be a cop, because then once you become a cop, it's not about you.
Yeah.
It's not about you.
Yeah, one of two things can happen in that situation. Either he could be looking for an outlet to be able to react to those situations, or he may be hoping that the situations that are affecting him negatively won't exist anymore when he's a cop. Either way, it's wrong.
So either way,
Well, I was going to say, for me, a big part of what I prescribe as a solution to the problem is part of training should be an evaluation of one's aggressiveness and bias. And if you score too high on either of those categories, you're disqualified.
I'm surprised it doesn't exist.
that's kind of common sense. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like it's there, but it's
common
not
sense.
held in high
The
esteem.
aggressiveness one might be there. I don't know that for sure.
The bias one's interesting.
Bias one is, I don't think that's there usually.
But you would need a little bit of both, wouldn't you, in order to correctly you can't.
No, if you want to be a cop, but your score indicates you're very aggressive, I'm saying you just are immediately disqualified.
Got it.
Regardless of your bias, doesn't matter. You're just immediately disqualified.
But if you're too biased,
If you're too biased, you're also immediately disqualified.
okay. Yeah, I guess
Either
extreme
or.
biases would be bad.
Yeah.
Of course,
Well,
it would.
because regardless of whether or not you're biased, the policy of policing, and this is a whole separate thing, but the policies of how policing operates pushes it towards over policing poor, generally colored communities and under policing wealthy, rich communities, because there's like quota systems. We have to make a certain number of arrests or tickets every month to like keep up with the statistics. And then pretty much they just say like, well, it's probably easiest for me to find just cause and therefore hit my quota going into a poor neighborhood where I see a car with a broken window or
Oh yeah, I got stopped
Shit
once
like
for
that.
for driving too slow.
yeah, I mean they will
There's also less likely. There's less likely to be rebuttal to anything you administer as a cop, like ticket wise.
and
If someone
also,
if someone isn't coming from less certain.
and also there's not going to be as much resistance.
Well, that's what
Both
it means.
at the time and
Yeah,
after the
he's
fact.
talking
That's
about
that's
at the
you're saying.
time. Yeah,
But
I was
even
talking
after the fact, like if you arrest a white dude with rich parents, he's going to have a great lawyer,
that's what I meant.
and you're going to have a hard time convicting that
That's
case.
what I meant. Like that. Like after.
Same reason why there's a disconnect in which cases are charged and how everyone's treated, because again, there's like quotas, and the district attorneys and judges are often operating on a very quote unquote tough on crime methodology because they have to be elected. And this is like how they campaign.
Like their metric.
Yeah.
Essentially.
Yeah.
So they
They're
campaign
saying,
on
"Oh."
being tough on crime. So you end up basically shoving people through the criminal justice system way faster than it's supposed to work, which is why you have cops and DAs routinely,
Supreme Court.
what were you saying?
Nothing.
Routinely, effectively railroading people who are completely innocent into accepting a plea bargain in exchange for time served and however long they've been in jail waiting for a court date, even though they are completely innocent. Like you could be suspected of a robbery, right? And you might fit a description. It's very fungible.
All you don't know, Millen is doing air quotes.
Yeah, it's very fungible. If you couldn't tell by my voice, I'm doing air quotes.
Yeah.
It's very fungible, those kinds of things. So you might fit a description, but you're not the person. You're completely
Yes.
innocent.
Yes.
But they'll arrest you. They'll bring you in. They'll leave you in jail for a month waiting for a court date. And then they'll come to you a month in and be like, hey, if you plead guilty to this, your time served, you'll be let go tomorrow. Be back to your life, but you're pleading guilty
Yes.
and you didn't do it. And a lot of people
that exists.
Yeah, it's
definitely.
extremely common.
Definitely.
The
Now-
majority of cases convicted are convicted like that.
Definitely. And then
The overwhelming majority.
now that they plead guilty, now they have a hard time getting a job.
Yeah. It
Or,
fucks
you
up
know,
the rest of your life.
Yeah.
That's
so.
I mean, aside from the case by case
Yes.
detriment to people that are wrongly accused, that also like really disqualifies the efficacy of our
Yes.
system for
It
me.
completely undermines the legitimacy of the criminal justice system.
But that also freaks me out though if I'm looking at like statistics about you know what I mean? Like
So
crimes being resolved properly. Like I want to I want to feel like
yeah,
I guess I want to feel like criminals are being properly
often
handled.
get away.
That's freakier though if you think about it.
Yes, I know. And it happens
That's-
every single day.
That's the first
multiple times a day in every single state. It's that bad. And part of this is because, again, these agencies are also chronically underfunded.
True.
Like the criminal justice system is chronically underfunded, and the laws make so many things illegal that there's no way they could handle the volume of offenses. It's just not possible. So they have to like railroad people through and do this like crazy truncated version because it's the only way the thing stays in one piece.
So it's an assembly line.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Versus
if we decriminalized drug possession, first of all, that's like 60% of cases just gone immediately.
They
And
can
then
help
that frees up-
prioritization of other things.
Exactly. It frees up resources.
Yeah, it frees up.
So now,
Cell
because
space.
right now resources are so tight that if an investigator comes to a cop and says, I have this, say like money laundering case it's like a money laundering case where a bank is laundering money for a drug gang. The prosecutor would be like,
This is a movie script, by the way. You got this. See what you got.
The prosecutor would be
It
like,
sounds dope.
that sounds like a bad crime, but it also sounds like 6 months of my time to convict this person.
Okay.
And they'd be like, and I don't have 6 months to do that.
That's fucked up.
Yeah.
That's happening.
So
like
why-
that kind of deliberation.
So that's why white collar crime is very rarely prosecuted.
Oh, of course.
because of lead times.
It's
Essentially.
literally how much time it takes to prosecute.
Yeah, the processing, the potential.
Because
The higher ticket stuff usually involve people with more means to extend
to defend themselves.
Yeah, defend
Yep.
themselves.
So they'll extend
more
the
trouble than
process.
it's worth.
They'll appeal.
More trouble than it's worth.
Exactly.
essentially.
And versus if someone has no money, no power, they have no means to fight back, you can get them in and out in a month. And your time spent on it's like a day.
That sounds so fucked up.
It's incredibly fucked up, but that's like
that
reality.
sounds literally crazy.
Yeah, no, that's real.
That's every day.
like I said, there's like a track from like black kids in elementary school to jail like so quickly.
Yeah, no, it's a legitimate. It's like a pipeline. It's a supply
pipeline.
chain.
Yep.
And it's made even more fucked up by the
prison's
fact
big
that
business, y'all.
prisons can also use their inmates for labor.
For labor. We were talking
And
about
then
this.
if they're private prisons, they can make a profit on
Yes.
that.
Yeah, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah, it's like there's all these forces.
Complex. Yeah.
And this is the thing is all this stuff has just thrown itself onto something that was broken and never fixed. Like something was broken, it never got fixed, and then a bunch of people just added a bunch of stuff to it to take advantage of it. And now we have this huge gargantuan problem that seems like it's impossible to fix. But really, it all comes from like one or two like things that were broken
source
originally.
problems.
Yeah. And in this case, it's primarily like the war on drugs and chronic lack of funding of the criminal justice system. And arguably DAs and judges having to be elected.
Hashtag systematic racism, or I mean,
Mm-hmm. It's bureaucracy that keeps these things in
Yeah,
place.
it sounds like greed too,
Yeah.
as equally as culpable.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mhm.
oh yeah, there's a few things.
One's enabling the other.
100%.
So
Damn.
So I want to go all the way back to where we started from. Again, it's like a sense of, I think we covered this with Frank. So I want to ask Alex, and I'll chime in too. Do you think that based on what we are seeing happening in the streets today, we're going to see a considerable change of any kind? Like, are you hopeful for the direction? And I personally have mixed feelings on it.
I'm not very well educated in what's going on. I don't have like any granular understanding. Based on what's going on at a high level, I'll say no. In the future, there'll need to be like systemic changes. I know it sounds very, very vague, but it's just the truth. Like this is a one-off, but like that's the thing. They're always one-offs, and it's how they're handled. This was actually handled because of the outcry of public. I think a little better than average, but it's, I don't know. I think it's always going to depend on the police and department involved.
Can I say?
Yeah.
Oh, I was going to say,
finish.
we need like a washing across like the country.
Mm-hmm.
Like a bunch of departments need to like restructure. New people need to come in, and how like this will not change the fact that police and the department that they work for are willing to protect each other. That's not going to like be solved tomorrow.
Side note that we don't have time to talk about. This is the last topic because we're running out of time. There are calls that I've seen to actually defund police departments.
Yeah, I don't like that though.
I don't know if that's the way to go.
I like it. I like it on paper. I was going to bring that up. I like it on paper. I
think it's an interesting concept. I think it's unbaked, but I think it's an interesting concept.
It's unbaked, but it's another thing. It's like an ante up. I like it. I like that aspect. But yes, it's unbaked. I don't know if that will actually solve the problem or
because part of it is like defund and replace with a different kind of organization.
Yeah.
But yeah, anyways, we don't have time to talk about it. But
Yeah,
I just
it's also
bring it up
pulling
as
in
a
just
side note.
more and more attention to what's going on versus it normally just being like past, like every other.
I actually wanted to say something. I'm gonna let Malin talk real quick. I mean, I'm not letting you do anything. This is your world, but you go ahead and tell us what you want to say, and then I had one more thing I wanted to say before we go.
Okay, so my feeling is that what I have seen this time is there's a different cultural lens this time.
Yes,
that's the biggest change in that this time around I've seen more police officers say this is wrong, this is unacceptable. This guy is clearly a murderer and we need to stomp this out. I've seen that more than I've ever seen it before.
True.
which means that the whole like protecting each other thing is breaking down a little bit.
It's a one-off, but yeah.
It's unclear how far it's going to go, but
Yeah.
clearly there's some cracks there. And I've also seen more solidarity than I've ever seen before, both across like racial lines and even like police themselves acting in solidarity, at least for moments during these demonstrations. Maybe not for the whole thing, but at least for moments in certain places. And like in Phoenix, this whole week, and we're recording this on Saturday. So this whole week, Saturday, June 6th, this whole past week, there have been no arrests at these protests. Police have simply stood by.
Yeah.
In some cases,
That's a
they've
positive
actually marched
response.
with them. Like the
Positive
police
response.
chief has marched with them today or yesterday. There were some arrests originally because there was some like looting and stuff going on. But after that, that kind of all subsided and it's been very peaceful. And there's been like, it feels like more of a dialogue and less of or at least a standoff, but not like not full on conflict. So I think culturally more people are coming around to the message, which is that this kind of behavior happens far more often than we want to admit, and it's not okay. And even if it doesn't happen to us, it still should be important to us.
Can I say one thing? So like there are certain situations between civilians getting killed and cops where like in this situation, they're so extreme that the stories when leaked and disclosed are just too hot to ignore when it comes to mainstream media, and also demand so much public outcry because there's like no gray area. But like there are plenty of other cases that probably are not as conspicuous as this. And
Yes.
it's probably going to happen. That's my problem.
Mhm.
And also because of COVID, we got bigger and louder responses from civilians, from people.
Part of it is also because a lot of people are unemployed right now, so they have more time on
and
their
not
hands.
just to do
this
so
kind of
like that
stuff.
was one good thing about COVID. Like we got a more appropriate response from people.
Mhm.
That might not happen, and then it might be more of that gray area. Like those situations where people were wrongfully killed, but like it wasn't like this.
Yeah, and so
Like this is like you can't even argue. This is like crazy, right?
The flip side to this being is I don't think it's enough to radically change the system, but I think it may be enough to push culture in the right direction.
You think it's a
to
couple
where
steps in the right direction?
Eventually, it's going to correct the system because the system will follow culture eventually. It may take some time, but eventually it will follow.
The system can change, by the way. I don't think it can't change. I just don't think it's going to be like fixed tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay.
So what was your final thought, Frank?
I had like just a small story. It's going to be really quick, but going off of what I told you guys about like how I think everything's going to go down. I had a conversation with someone. I'm just going to go ahead and say it was somebody close to me. And I wanted to watch a movie with him, right? But because of the culture, everything's going on there, he has different expectations of this movie based on like what was going to happen before. Like he's used to the characters being a certain way, but they'll be changed in this movie based on the culture of now. And I would argue with this person about, I really want you to watch this movie with me. I like played like the like relationship card, you know, and they were going to watch it, but they were mad. And then I was talking about, you know, you got a bias over this. He's like, no, I think you have a bias, da 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 da. So I tried to have a conversation with him, an argument, and I took that route, right? It wasn't working. Then what I said, I got a little more personal. And I told them, you know what? Let's put all that to the side. The issue is the way this has always been our thing, these movies. So because of the way you've been acting, it's been affecting your relationship with me. It's like it's affected our relationship, what you have with me, so on and so forth, right? And that's what got him. That's what hooked him in. So it didn't. So in a nutshell, going back to what we were talking about, like you said, this will not last unless it keeps affecting like white people unless it affects them too.
Yeah, it has to be close to home.
It has to hit close to home.
Yeah.
Because if you try to reason them with, like, I don't know, logic or whatever, it's not enough. It may not be enough, you know?
That's a good point too.
As it like you like
But that's what I was saying too. Like COVID enabled extreme acts from the public to bring in the attention.
yeah. Well, because people had the time and the
That's
energy.
what I'm saying. Like it's
Well, and I think what I was getting at is that as the culture shifts, more people who are not immediately affected by this will look at this and say, this is insane. Like it's not
a
just
higher chance of it now.
It's not just a like, oh, you know, that sucks. But it's like like what?
Yes.
You know, like
I
that's
agree
the
with you.
response.
I agree with you.
Well,
Like,
right.
Because that's my
Right.
response when I see a story like that. I'm like, are you fucking serious?
Exactly.
You know? And I think you'll see that response more and more.
Yes.
Even if it doesn't directly affect their lives necessarily, I just think empathy will go up.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And it is so far right now because I actually was talking to somebody about this, and it's one thing to say, and I might have talked to Alex about this before. It's one thing to say, yeah, it was wrong that dude, like that the guy died. George Floyd died.
Oh.
But, you know,
Mhm.
but like, but you shouldn't be stealing, right? Stealing is bad.
Yeah.
Versus stealing is bad, but nobody should be dying over. Like, but murder, you're forgetting that somebody got murdered.
Yeah.
it's
One's-
like it's
It's
like
framing.
it's like you can kind of look at it like this. Like
So right now, people are doing that, but they're becoming more aware, like what you were talking about. So they're over time rising up a little more and getting out of that, like that state of
Mhm.
thinking.
it's in their headspace.
Yes.
Like
And-
perceived or like our tolerance for people of all races and backgrounds, just all demographics, our tolerance for like detrimental things in regards to like the occurrence goes down with perceived severity of each occurrence. So
Mhm.
like because of this, it could have just been another headline.
Mhm.
But because it's one person, or maybe one person in this story, one person in that story. It's one of those things where it's like, I don't know the person, right? But like it goes from like that person to a bunch of people in your social media, which are like, some of them are real friends, some of them are not, to like things actually happening in your neighborhood. It becomes more and more home. So the perceived severity goes up. Now, like if that occurrence happens again, like it just seems like it's affecting your life.
Yeah.
And it's all it needs. People need to feel like their life's being affected by something, or it won't impact.
It won't
you at
hit.
all. It won't.
And the last thing I'll say is it's also important to remember that this issue has only really been a mainstream issue for about 5 years.
Yeah.
That's not a lot of time.
No.
Yeah, it hasn't been like
Hasn't been long at
not
all.
like this.
It's a long time in terms of the lives lost. Like it feels like a long time if you're part of the affected community, but in the span of culture, it's a very short blip.
I mean,
And we still have
I think
so
you're
much
right.
more. So much more can be done with another 5 years or another 10 years. And I mean, that can sound kind of callous, but in reality, like things just take some time to change, and life is unfortunately not going to be fair every day.
yeah.
So that's why I have a little bit of hope in that. I think we're setting up the groundwork for long-term cultural shifts, which cause long-term systemic shifts.
Okay.
Yeah, it's where it starts. Cultural shifts.
Yeah. And with another 10 years,
Yeah.
maybe another mass protest.
Yeah.
The
Another instance happens and it goes again. Or it happens 2 or 3 more times. It may take more times for enough people to give enough of a fuck to do something.
Yeah.
But
that's clearly a problem.
But like,
I understand.
You know, we're getting
'Cause-
closer. You know, each time, every day this protest continues, we get a little bit closer.
Yeah, I don't think it's in
Yeah.
vain. I think it is impactful.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but obviously it's like, oh, how many more black people got to die
I know.
before?
Or
know,
like
it's-
how much virtue signaling is going to continue. Where like we talk about it so that
Mhm.
we can say we've talked about it without actually implementing real change.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know,
And
that
it's-
happens a lot too. Where
It's
it's like,
it's kind of just inherently messed up coming from me because I'm clearly not in the affected community here.
Okay. Yeah.
But I mean, I'm also
wasn't
just trying
mad.
to be realistic. Of like,
No, you're right. It's
Yeah.
just like hearing that is like, oh, you just got to take time. Oh, you know, take time.
That's why I say it sounds bad in the face of the lives lost because it can sound callous. But
yes, but you're not wrong.
it's also what we're working with.
Definitely.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we just did a little over an hour.
Cool.
I think it's gonna be an hour 10, maybe a little more than that.
Okay.
It was good a podcast. Actually, I think that might be one of our best podcasts, if not maybe the best podcast we've done.
Conversationally, yeah. It went on a little bit of a tangent, so it wasn't as like cohesive, but it was pretty good conversationally.
Yeah.
And I feel like we all gave a lot of good input.
I like our tangents.
Me too. Like in terms of like how it played out, it was awesome.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
I'm just saying, like,
yeah.
Definitely.
All right. Well, on our way out, Prank, you want to plug your podcast one last time?
One last time, come listen to me and my brother Xavier on Next Level Town. Next Level Town on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
Got that unified branding.
Yes. Email us at nextleveltown@gmail.com. You know,
one brand, one life. You know,
definitely doing what we can. You know what I'm saying? If you want to hear about anything, pop culture stuff, we talk about comics, we talk about movies, we talk about music, we talk about just life. You know what I'm saying? And please come listen to us. Come check us out. You know, and thank you, Millen, for having me.
Yeah.
And, my boy,
and for all the listeners, you know, just go ahead and punch that subscribe button real quick. Just, you know, get it real good.
I mean, punch it. You know, like uppercut it.
Like,
you know?
like
you're trying to get back at someone. You know?
Yes.
And then, you know, review us if you're on iTunes. And iowamacas.com, again, is a mid-roll. We didn't talk about it, but we talked about it. You know what I mean? Yeah.
All right.
We'll see you next week.
Take care.
Catch y'all later.